It's one of those things that I am straight as an arrow. I don't do any crime. I follow a crime. I deal with that all day. So you see, I'm a busy guy. Welcome to the studio. No, but I'm a family guy, as you can tell. But my thing is, did the mob go wrong where it could have and should have been more of a Freemasonry and become more of a white collar thing? Maybe live off the legacy of the past. They could own out. They could hurt you maybe someday, but maybe go into legitimate business and be like 87% ish legal. And then you guys from the feds would be like, you know what? That guy's just, he's done doing crime. Let me leave him alone. So do you think they kind of messed up? I know Castellano was trying to go that way. I think even Carlo Gambino was going that way. Do you think
Yep.
that's where the mob messed up by not gentrifying, if you will, or not kind of becoming mainstream?
Well, it all becomes yes and no, right? So it all
Okay.
becomes kind of a part of flying under the radar. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what crime is out there.
Yeah.
It's kind of a scaling deal for us. Can we
Yeah.
scale enough to look at every chiropractor who's
Yeah.
stealing more than $100,000?
Yeah.
And probably, chiropractors will go, all right, just stay at 99, but
Yeah.
that's not truthful either. But I think that's right. I mean, I think that the bottom line is, are we really going to worry so much about um, those little onesies and twosies at
Yeah.
this point, if there's bigger fish to fry? And
Correct.
quite frankly, the federal prosecutors at this point, and they'll tell you this straight up. There's thresholds for crime.
Yeah.
So, it might be $1 million threshold for white collar crime.
Yeah.
So that yes is my answer on the side of, could they have, done just fine staying mostly legit,
Yeah.
I guess like a fictional author who has some nonfiction to the piece, right? Like
Correct.
if I were to
Correct.
go write a book, I would write it in that fashion. I would write it
Correct.
in Nelson DeMille fashion, as opposed to writing another nonfiction about the FBI that I would have to go through 16 years of certifications, get everything redacted, and have a piece of shit, manuscript,
Yeah, yeah.
as opposed to just saying, hey, 80% of it is fake, 20% of it is true. Let the reader figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I don't have to pass it by anybody. So I think that's the same kind of philosophy of the yes, they could have done better. The no side of it is they physically hurt some people. Like they
Yeah.
physically have pounded. And there's guys that have made their bones breaking collarbones and
Yeah.
breaking, leg, literally doing that, and
Maybe couldn't get
having
away.
no feeling towards the value of human life. They lose that. Even
Yeah.
as a soldier who has been in,
Yeah.
combative situations, I never lost that. I
Yeah.
never lost the fact that that life has been taken. That's a
Yeah.
life that I shortened. And who am I? I'm
Yeah.
not God, right? I'm not Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I think they missed it. There's one story that I think brings this home. And,
Yeah.
and this was, I won't mention the name because you probably have heard the name, but
Yeah.
a person who put money out on the streets later in life. He was an older gentleman.
Yeah.
Later in life, he put money out in the streets, and we ran into him. One of my sources ran into him on something completely different. It was completely different. It was
Yeah.
like on, some nonsensical public corruption case that we weren't even going to make. And so I send the source in. We had information that he had money out on the street, so he was predicated. The source is going to go borrow money, and he becomes very friendly with this gentleman over the course of just a few days. And this guy was connected, over the course of a few days and a few weeks, and before you know it, they're talking about everything. Hey, you want to help me out? I'll give you 10%. You get the money out, whatever. Well, in the meantime, he tells, you know, my guy says to him, "What happened to your wife? Are you married?" Well, she fell. He goes, she fell down the stairs,
Oh yeah.
and he winds up admitting to killing her on the
Wow.
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah.
And it was a joke to him. It was a joke to him, because she was, I guess, the way it worked out in the
I'm
end.
pretty
And
sure I know what you're talking about.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? So at the end of it, at his hearing, at his sentencing, we brought that out. I wasn't going to let that go. The money on the street was nothing. Trust me, it was
Yeah.
nothing. He was losing money. He was a stupid loan shark.
Yeah.
You but at the end of the day, you killed your wife, and you thought it was funny that I would have went in the ambulance if I would have known she was going to die.
Wow.
I just that kind of stuff always bothered me, and most of the guys in that life are not like that.
Yeah.
They truly are. The old stories we used to hear as kids. Oh, They'll come to they'll send the biggest flowers to your funeral. They'll take care of the wife.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That is it's a warped code, but it's a code
Right.
nonetheless. And it's a
Yeah.
code of respect and loyalty. So, when I think about the difference, a lot of times it's that lack of respect for life, even though they